Hey there, friends. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and if you've seen several of my videos, welcome back to my channel. Today, the topic that I chose to discuss is how to analyze risk reports for a bank. We're going to use Python, of course. All my analysis is done in Python. I think it's very flexible, scalable. You can use any type of you can do any type of mathematical or statistical analysis. You can do machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, data science. Really, the sky's the limit. I haven't seen too many limitations on Python. That's why I chose to use this as a medium to communicate all my messages. That's it. I think it's a pretty powerful tool. That's why I went with this, because there's not too many constraints like you have in some technologies. Okay, so today I want to look at analyzing risk reports. And again, this is for a bank. I've worked for several banks. I won't name any names, but all the big banks in the United States, all across New York City. That's where I live. That's where I work. But keep an open mind about the analysis. It doesn't have to be for a bank. You can analyze any type of file that you have, right? So I'll make this focus on banks because I can't talk about 5,000 different businesses. That doesn't make sense. But even though this is within the confines or the constraints of a bank or banking business, just keep an open mind, because this can be for anything, any kind of industry, any kind of sector. This can be used by any government institution and education institution. This type of analysis can be used by a hospital, a automobile manufacturer, an aviation construction manufacturer, a wholesaler, retailer. It doesn't matter, right? We're going to look at words in documents and analyze those words. This happens to be about risk, but it's very, very, very easy to change the patterns of words that we're going to be looking for. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And again, keep an open mind. You can use this type of this code that I'm going to share with you to do any type of analysis, right? I'm going to just focus on banks for the time being, but you can focus on any type of business that you're interested in, right? So we are going to use a couple different libraries, and we're going to extract the text from different files. I'm going to look at PDF files and doc files. You can have anything. You can have a text file. You can have CSV files, Excel files. You can even have people's emails, right? If you want to do text analysis on somebody's email, you can do that. Now, I said email. That might be a little bit weird. I don't think you are reading other people's emails. I don't think other people are reading your emails. But if you work in some type of regulatory agency, maybe the SEC or FINRA or something like this, where you have to look at emails from member firms, right? A brokerage firm or another bank, you might actually get access to other people's emails. As an independent auditor, you might have to read the emails for compliance purposes and make sure that people aren't saying bad things on their emails when they're talking about customer accounts or whatever, right? So emails could actually be another source of data. In this case, we're just going to look at PDFs and DOCX files. These are Word documents, and these are, of course, PDFs, right? So we'll extract the text. We'll go fetch the text from each of these files, bring it back, do a little cleaning and pre-processing on the text, and then feed it into a couple natural language processing algorithms to help us interpret the text, to refine it, and to make sense of what's inside of these files, right? And again, these are PDFs and Word files, but we want to convert everything to a universal standard that's just pure text. It's going to be cleaned up a little bit, and then we can do the analysis easier. If you just jam a whole bunch of PDFs into a natural language processing tool, it might not like it, and it might spit out errors and just crash the whole model that you're looking at, or just end your analysis almost as quickly as you started it. So you do a little pre-processing just to get the text into a good state, so you can actually do like a rich analysis on it. Okay, so we have a couple user-defined functions here to get the PDF files and to get the DOCX files. Okay, and we're looking for certain types of extensions, PDF and DOCX. And if I go over to the folder where these files sit, I can show you where this is. This is on my desktop, but this could be on any network drive. This could be on the cloud. Doesn't matter, right? You can have these files stored in S3 buckets and Amazon, or it could be in an Azure data lake. It doesn't matter where the files sit, right? So these are my files over here, risk, and these are all relevant to banking operations. So I have the future of bank risk management. I just found these things online. I just did a quick Google search. This is 2017 risk report. So it doesn't matter what my files are. You would run this on your specific files, right? And look at all your PDFs and look at all your DOCX files. Okay, if I run this, you'll see it actually goes into each file and fetches the text and extracts it and then pulls it back and then prints the results just so you can visually see, okay, I see what my text looks like. I see what the results are. I know this thing is working. So this is just sort of like a visual cue or just a sanity check that the text extraction is working. You made a request to go get the file, and now you're getting the results back. Okay, and you can see it's pointing to that folder on my desktop, right? So that's where the files sit. But again, this could be anything. This could be a network drive. This can be your local desktop, of course. This can be an S3 bucket. This can be an Azure data lake. So you would just point this to the files. And if you have to loop through multiple folders in your network, you can, of course, do that. It doesn't matter. Let me save this and refresh this. I thought I hit refresh, but I didn't see it spit out any text. Let me just make sure this thing is working. Okay, so you would point that to your folder, or if you have multiple folders, you can iterate over each folder and extract the text for all these. You don't have to point it to just one. I just have one folder in this case, so that's where it's going. Okay, so let me run it. And I think it's running, although I don't see the hourglass. This looks weird. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so I think we're good. I think we're good to go. It's scanning through all these files in this folder. There's only 3, so it should be pretty quick here. Query is still running. We should get some results in just a second. And we print the results on the screen just to confirm that that the script found the text that we told it to go grab and it prints it out for us. Okay, so we're a little bit slow. Not sure why. It is the weekend. Maybe the computer's just taking a break, getting lazy on me. Definitely getting old. No question about that. Okay, so it took a little longer than I thought, but that's fine. So we have the name of the file here, 2024 risk review full, and that corresponds to this guy over here. Okay, and then this is all the contents of that file, and then we're going to have the next one after that, and the next one after that. There's three PDFs and one Word file, right? So there's 4 files in the folder, and we can see the text is printed out, so we're fine. And by the way, if you have a long-running job, you can just kick this off overnight. You can set this up on some type of chronological clock, or a cron job it's called, or some type of trigger. If the date equals a certain date and the hour is a certain hour, go ahead and run the job. So you don't have to sit in the office and wait for this to happen. You can kick this off at 10 p.m. at night or midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter. The job runs while you're sleeping, and you come into the office the next day and everything's done for you, right? So if you have a slow running job, just automate the task to run overnight. So let me do a little cleaning just to refine what we see here. We see like a lot of periods, and that's done for formatting. If I open this file, you'll see exactly the same thing. All right, so if a person is reading this, I think it's totally fine. You have some, what is that called, leader or something, some dots leading up to the text that you're printing. Risk review. Okay, so all it's getting is all the text right here. I think this is the file, hopefully. Yeah, here's the dots. I forgot what those are called. Ellipses or something like that, right? So it's just to make everything on the left line up with the left and the right lines up with the right, and then in between you have the dots. So I think it's a little bit easier to read, but do we need that for a natural language processing task? No, we don't really need that. It's nice to read in the PDF. 71 page left intentionally blank. I was just going to look for something over there to just prove where it's coming from. If I do a control F, oh wait, I did not want that, sorry. Okay, I should just stick to the script here, not do these weirdo kind of things. I just want to look for this thing right here. Yeah, community bank. So you know that this is the source, right? And there's only 4. I would recommend the first time you do this, just do this on a smaller corpus of text to make sure that you understand how everything works. Once you're comfortable with it, then scale up and do this over all the text. But if you're doing it for the first time, don't try to run this over um, tens of thousands of files or millions of files. If you're doing this for the first time ever, just get acquainted with the process, get comfortable with it, and then scale up. I've seen people do these types of things, and they'll take the job and run it over 100,000 files, and the job fails. And they'll make a couple changes, run it again, the job fails again. They'll make a couple changes, run it again, job fails again. And each time it could take a day for the job to run. So that makes no sense to me. I don't know why people do that. Just run it on a small, minute task, get that thing to work, and then release it on the whole library of text. Okay. If it works on 5 files, it'll work on 500,000 files just fine. If it doesn't work on 5, then it's not going to work on 500,000, right? That's just common sense. I don't know why people don't get that, but some people just don't get it. Okay. So make it work, have a POC, proof of concept, MVP, minimum viable product. MVP is minimum viable product. Deliver that to your stakeholders, get them to sign off once they're good, release it to the world. Okay. It doesn't matter. If it works on 5, it'll work on 5 million, but don't test it on 5 million because it's going to take a long time. If it doesn't work, you burn through an entire day and you're going to have to make changes. And if your changes don't work, you burn through day number 2. Now you're into Wednesday and you still don't have an MVP or a POC. Okay. So don't do things like that. And if you see people doing it, tell them to stop it, because that's just dumb. Okay. Well, I've seen so many people do that. That's why I mentioned. So yeah, start small and then scale up. So here's the key risk words that we're looking for. So this is, again, analyzing risk reports for banks, but this could be anything. This could be for a government institution, for an educational institution, for a hospital, for a manufacturing facility. It doesn't matter what you're looking for. You would look for keywords relevant to what your business focuses on, right? So for bank, it could be risk. For bank, it could be trading. It could be wealth management. It could be portfolio management. Whatever topic you're looking for, that's what you would customize right here, right? So I'm saying this is risk reports for a bank, but it could be a million different things. You would just change the items in your list. We can tell this is a list because of the square brackets. Just change these items in here. Was it like 10 or whatever? And you can add to this. You can have 5. You can have 12,000 words that you're searching for, right? It's up to you to figure out what you're trying to accomplish. And when you know what you want to achieve, just customize this thing right here. There's really not too much that you have to change. You have to change the path where your files sit. And we saw that over here. Okay, so this is going to be changed custom to whatever you need it for it to work. And this is going to change over here. Everything else basically stays the same. Okay, like we're just doing very, very trying to standardize this thing, make it very efficient, make it very flexible and scalable, so anybody can use this. Change the path where your folder sit. The path to the folder where the file sit, and change the words you're looking for. And it doesn't even have to be called risk keywords. In my case, these are risk reports. It can be called keywords. It doesn't matter. Change that, and you're good to go. Okay, so I think, did I run this? I don't think I ran this thing. Let me refresh that. It's just defining the function and calling the function. So it's in my computer's memory. This is the next function, generate risk reports. Okay, so I'm going to create 3 risk reports. I'm going to say if the risk score is greater than 1,000, this is considered high risk. So I'm going to identify this as a high risk flag, a high risk label. If the score is greater than 200, then it's medium. Otherwise, it's a low risk. Okay, so when I run that, I create a risk, df risk. If risk is not defined, what happened to my df risk here? Did I not do the df risk, or before that? Did I not do this one? That is weird because I thought that I did all of these right here. I would think I didn't do this one. Okay, yeah, you have to do it in order too. So that is done. That is done. That is done. Oh, let me see. I had some notes when I was working on this the other day. Let me see what I'm missing here. Oh, so let me give me a second to troubleshoot. And by the way, sometimes these things happen. That's fine, right? That's part of the development process. You have a bug and you have to deal with the bug. That's all. And this was leading into, this was the first part of that, right? So we have to do it in order. Must have, I think it's, yeah, I think I just copied and pasted this one down here. That's weird. Let me try this again. Pandas. Okay, so that, so I'm missing that. Sometimes I move these things around. Import pandas as PD. Okay, so that is defined. Now I have pandas, so I can create my pandas data frame. I could put that down there. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let me refresh this. We should have some decent output here in just a minute. Let's see if this thing works. Take a water break. Take the opportunity to take a water break. Okay, and let's see what we get here. I think I was copying and pasting and doing a bunch of different things. Probably the phone rang. Got distracted with that. So df risk sorted. When I look at it, I think this makes sense to me. Let's finish. Let's wait for the code to finish off and see what we get here. And I think we can proceed. I think we're in a good spot, but let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think I just put that in the wrong spot. So we have the risk score, risk level, risk score. These are medium. Remember, greater than 1,000 is high risk. These are medium because it's defined by greater than 200. And if it's less than 200, then we have a low risk. And here's my chart so I can visualize the results. Okay, I like to use Plotly charts because they're dynamic and interactive. You put the mouse over the chart and the bubble pops up and you can zoom in and zoom out. So I like these types of things. And by the way, how am I getting the risk-related words? We're counting those. Oh, now it doesn't like this. So what's wrong with this? Hang on. Value of X is not in the data frame, risk score or risk level. But it's sorted, right? It's sorted. I think that is off. That's what happens when you jump around between different programs, different codes, lose your focus and get some bizarre things happening. So let's see, is it going to work? Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So here's the data frame. There's my risk. And I think it's working. I think it's working fine. I did want to sort those things. That's why I had this over here. I think it picked up a different variable. So let me just say, let me say df risk sorted. Copy and paste it. So the data frame was created fine. If I want this, df risk, this, and this should work. I think I copied and pasted it into the wrong spot. Okay, that's what I want. Just something sorted in order and descending order from the biggest to the smallest. So that's what I was talking about. The Plotly charts have these bubbles that pop up. It's pretty nice to interact with. So the risk score is 330, 243 here, and this is low risk 149. So what's actually happening, we're just looking for each keyword in the text and counting how many times it appears, right? So any of these keywords that you saw over here, risk, hazard, threat, so on and so forth, down to audit and non-compliance is counted and stored in a list. And then we take the total number of counts, convert the list to a pandas data frame right there. So here's the risk report, converting that to a pandas data frame. Then we have data frame risk. Then we take that, sort it in descending order. That's how I get the 1621 at the top and 149 at the bottom. And these guys are in between. And I plotted everything on this chart, right? So that's a pretty easy way to loop through a whole bunch of files. I only have 4, okay? But if you have 4 or 400 or 400,000 or even 4 million, I hope you're not dealing with 4 million files, but if you are, it doesn't matter. This thing will scale over all the files. You just define the paths to the files and then the keywords that you are looking for over here. Okay, these are my keywords. Then you can plot on the chart right there. So very easy way to pre-process all the text, get it cleaned up, tokenized. Tokenization of text is converting the text into numeric representation of the text so the computer can interact with it and understand it more easily. So the computer knows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't know risk. It doesn't know compliance. It doesn't know audit. It doesn't know hazard, things like this. It doesn't know what those things are. But when you tokenize those words, it can say, okay, a hazard is like a 1 or whatever. Like how it actually converts that word into a number, the computer is doing that. So I can't anticipate how it's going to do that conversion. But once you get all of your numbers, then you can do all the analysis that we're seeing right here, right? But we can't do that just on the pure word. We have to pre-process that and tokenize the words, right? So that's why we're doing this stuff over here and categorizing the risk into high, low, medium. So we handle that step. And we can even integrate topic modeling into this risk analysis. So the first step was actually somewhat primitive. We're just taking basic words, searching for the words in a corpus of text. The corpus is the body, right? So we're just doing word searches, like a whole bunch of Control Fs in Microsoft Word. So that's kind of cool. But is that really, is it really intelligent? Not really, right? But we can do topic modeling where we use a different approach to scan through the same files that we scanned through before, all these PDFs, and extract the text from the PDFs and do a richer, more meaningful analysis that actually has a deeper purpose than just a keyword search. Okay, so again, we're going to have our key risk words, but this time we're going to look at different topics and try to understand like the meaning or the intention of the word or the purpose of the word, and not just do a basic Control F. Because if we can't find exactly match between the words we're looking for, like if we don't have an exact match over here, we can't count this text. And even if risk is misspelled, like if the document has risk spelled like this, you wouldn't even find that, right? So it has to be the correct spelling in this scenario over here using this technique, okay? But if you use this topic modeling technique, it's a little bit smarter, it's more evolved, it's a little bit more sophisticated in the way it does its analysis, and you don't have to rely on like, are we finding the exact word or was the word misspelled? Because that's going to create some problems for you. But it doesn't matter. When you use topic modeling, you're looking more for like the meaning or the purpose of words, and words that are somewhat similar are going to be bubbled up too and brought to your attention. So now I'm going to create a word cloud for each of these documents, and we're going to see visually the number of counts of these words. So the bigger the word, the more the number of times it shows up. So the higher, a bigger font, I guess you could call it font, larger font corresponds to higher frequency of counts of those words in each document. So here you can see the name of the document. We have 2017 risk report, and you'll see that over here. If I go over here, 2017 risk report. So that's my Word document. And we have 2024 risk review full. That's a PDF. So that is the next one. If you look at that one's right there. Okay. And then after that, we have, what's next over here? BSBC 239. That's this guy right here. And then we have the future of bank risk management. And that's this file right here. So you can see in these word clouds, I actually highlighted all of these words that we want to look for here in red. So these are going to be the risk words. I want to make that different color. And then all the other words I'm not that interested in are going to be black. Now I still know that aggregation and function and decision shows up a bunch of times because these are bigger and they're bolder, but exposure is one of my key risk words, and that is in this document. So it might be something I might be interested in. And this document, there's no risk words. This document has one little tiny occurrence of issue, and in this one, future of bank risk management.pdf, exposure shows up a bunch of time. If I go over there, is this one even over? No, it's not open. I don't know if it's worth it for me to open that thing. Maybe I could try. Future of bank risk management, that's what we're looking at. If I look for exposure, let me see how many times I can find it. It's going to show up a lot because it's pretty big and it's pretty bold here. So if I look for exposure, let's just take a quick look at this thing, Control F. exposure. And does it count? I think these things actually count. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's not counting. Thought that did. I know Word does it. Okay, that's fine. I thought it'd show me like the counts. More matching. Okay, that's fine. Okay, well it is what it is. Close current tab. Close all the tabs. I don't need that. Okay. So anyways, it goes into each file, extracts the text, and then plots this using a word cloud and shows you the size of the word that corresponds to the frequency of occurrence of the word in that document. Okay. So one more thing I want to show you here is to look at the connections between words using a network graph. So when I refresh this view, you'll see a knowledge graph plotted, and based on these keywords right here, and the documents where they come from, you can see the association, the document that has the keyword. And if I drag this around, you can see it's pretty interactive and pretty dynamic, right? It's like doesn't really play well with these out down here. Okay, if you try to move this, it's like get out of the way because you're blocking my space, and this thing is doing the same thing. So the interesting thing here, if I zoom in, you can see this is the document 2017 risk report. This is the document, the future of bank risk management, and this is this document. That's the PDF, and there's another PDF, BCBS 239, and then all the risk words associated with each document. So you can see the relationship between the words and the documents that it's coming from. So this is kind of cool. It's like it's called a network graph or a knowledge graph, and these are very helpful in understanding the association between the source and the word. So the source is a document, and the word is the risk word. And you see this all the time on Facebook. It's like, who are all your friends, and who are your friends of your friends, and who's your friends' friends' friends, right? And what are your connections and relationships? That's how LinkedIn knows, hey, you might know this person, you might want to connect. And that's how Facebook says the same thing. Hey, this could be a friend. We think you know this person. Would you like to reach out for this guy or this girl on Facebook and connect with that person? That's how they do that with these knowledge graphs. So it's pretty cool to see the source data right here, which is the file, and then all the risk words associated, and then the overlap here too, right? So compliance is linked to BCBS, and risk 2024 risk review, and risk is related to all of these, right? So risk is found in BCBS and risk report doc and risk review full and the future of risk, right? So this word right here is connected or linked to all of these documents, right? And the only thing that isn't connected is this. If I try to scroll down, okay, this non-compliance is a word that we came up with that doesn't exist in any of these documents. And what's the other one? Violations doesn't exist in any of this, right? So non-compliance comes from here, and violations is, where is that? Violations is over here, but it's actually not even in those four documents, right? These are a risk word that I'm looking for, but it's not connected to anything within those four documents. So I think that's interesting there, just to see the relationships between the risk words and where does the word come from in this document, or does it not even exist in the document? So violation and non-compliance doesn't even exist in any of these source documents, whether it's Word or PDF, right? And then have some notes down here. The nodes are documents. Each document is a collection of all the data, right? So this is a document. This is a document over here, BCBS. Anything with a DOCX or a .pdf is a document. That is a node, and the edge is the connection between the specific documents, right? And you have the graph layout, the visual interpretation. It's very interactive, and you can explore it, and it gives you a lot of insight into which documents contain which words. And we found two words that didn't even exist in any of those documents, right? That was non-compliance and violation. I think that's pretty interesting too. And this talks a little bit more about keyword-based scoring, topic modeling, and then graph analysis, right? So we saw all three represented in this teaching lesson I put together for you guys. And then, of course, you can do all kinds of other analysis. You can look at reinforcement learning, latent sentiment analysis, named entity recognition. I have some basic information in my notes. Sentiment analysis, clustering, text classification, text summarization, anomaly detection, word embedding. I didn't do this type of analysis. I didn't think it was very relevant, but these are additional types of insight that you can do on any PDF, any Word document, if that's your thing, if you think it's necessary. In this case, I looked at 3 different types of analysis, right? The keyword-based scoring, topic modeling, and then the graph analysis. This is what I focus on. But there's at least 7 or 8 or maybe 10 other types of insight that you can analyze in your reports. If that's your thing, if that floats your boat, if that's your focus, that's great. In this case, I didn't think it was necessary, so I didn't do it. But that's it, guys. That's it in a nutshell. Analyzing risk reports using analyzing risk reports for a bank using Python. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I will share all my notes with you. I'll go ahead and export this HTML file and give that to you. So you have all my notes, you have all the data, you have all the code and all the scripts and everything you need to do your own analysis. And I'll send those source files too, those 4 documents, the PDFs and the Word document. I'll send that to you as well, so you can play around with that, and then of course expand it to do your own analysis on your own Word documents and your own PDFs and whatever you need. Okay, so you have everything, and you can go ahead and impress your stakeholders and your boss, and do whatever it is that you need to do to be successful. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.